Ho ho ho, motherfuckers. Yup, it's that time of year again. The giving season, as families everywhere come together to celebrate the holidays, bundle up by the fire, and indulge in a parade of sappy Christmas movies. The real adults in the room are gonna need something with a bit more kick. Think about it, the all-time best Christmas movies. It's a Wonderful Life, Miracle on 34th Street, A Christmas Story, Home Alone, you name it, all revolve around sentimental, family-friendly stories for children and adults to enjoy equally. But all that, Jack. This year, we're all about honoring a bona fide Christmas classic expressively aimed at adult audiences. While Die Hard and Violent Night are worthy action-packed contenders, it's time to dish out the edible cookies and spiked eggnog for Bad Santa. Easily the most politically incorrect and controversially transgressive Christmas comedy of all time. Honestly, do you even think it's possible for a movie like Bad Santa to be made in Hollywood today? Probably not. Well, as Bad Santa celebrates its 20th anniversary this year, it's only right to unwrap the classic cinematic gift that keeps on giving and discover what went into the production, including major studios who passed on the project, the Coen brothers' story conception and uncredited script work, the casting process, principal photography, Billy Bob Thornton's drunken on-set antics, Todd Phillips' uncredited reshoots, and a whole lot more. Sound good? Merry Christmas, motherfuckers. It is time to unstuff the stockings and find out just what the fuck happened to Bad Santa. The first thing to know about Bad Santa is that it was born from an idea by acclaimed filmmaking siblings Joel and Ethan Coen, who served as executive producers on this movie. Although they did not officially write a screenplay for the project, the Coen brothers are known for envisioning fictional roles for specific actors. As Joel and Ethan were developing the concept of Bad Santa, they tailored various roles for actors that they thought would be ideal for certain characters. For instance, the role of Willie T. Soak, the crass, foul-mouthed alcoholic Santa, was originally imagined with James Gandolfini playing the part. Remember, the Coens worked with Gandolfini on The Man Who Wasn't There and felt he would be perfect for the role of Bad Santa. How crazy is that to think about? Tony Soprano in a Santa suit, swilling booze, slamming broads in a bathroom, and slinging industrial-strength insults while stealing household items. Sounds awesome. Likewise, the Coens also envisioned Danny Woodburn as Marcus Skidmore, Willie's sardonic elven helper, and thought Angus T. Jones would make a good Thurman Merman. Of course, Jones would go on to star in 2.5 Men the same year that Bad Santa was released, and Brett Kelly was cast instead. While different actors from the Coens' vision were ultimately cast in the movie, it's worth noting that Jack Nicholson read the script and expressed interest in playing the Bad Santa role. However, he was already committed to Something's Gotta Give and was forced to decline the role. But Bill Murray was reportedly the first actor chosen for the role of Bad Santa, and he was in final negotiations to star until he left the project to make Lost in Translation instead. Larry David, Dennis Leary, and Robert De Niro were also considered for the title role, but in the end, it's impossible to think of anyone other than Billy Bob Thornton, who also starred in The Man Who Wasn't There, in such a pitch-perfect role. Similarly, it's hard to imagine anyone other than Tony Cox playing the role of Marcus. However, in one of the most bizarre factoids about this movie, Mickey Rooney, of all people, auditioned to play Marcus the Elf. Rooney was roughly 72 years old at the time of his audition. In retrospect, the casting of Bad Santa couldn't be more perfect. But what fans may not realize is how the Coen brothers detested Cox in the role of Marcus, telling producers at Dimension Films that they, quote, hated him. Meanwhile, once Brett Kelly was cast as Thurman, producers disagreed with the decision and wanted, quote, a more Disney-like generic cute kid to play the character. Okay, so let's backtrack a bit. Once the Coens completed their concept for the film, they hired screenwriters Glenn Ficarra and John Rica to officially flesh out the story and write a screenplay. Joel and Ethan cited the classic 1974 comedy The Bad News Bears as the kind of tone and tenor that they were aiming for, telling the writers that the central idea was to base a story around an alcoholic bad Santa who is accompanied by an elf that has to keep him in line. Once Ficarra and Rica finished what they deemed a really crass script, Joel and Ethan polished and punched up the script with even more lewd and crude jokes, sight gags, zingers, and unforgettable one-liners. According to Zwigoff, the Coen brothers even did a complete revision of the screenplay. Soon after, the script was sent to various studios around Hollywood, but was roundly rejected by all the big majors due to how widely inappropriate the content was. According to the New York Times, the script was immediately rejected by Universal Pictures, which deemed the script, quote, the foulest, disgusting, misogynistic, anti-Christmas, anti-children thing we could imagine. End quote. Dimension's Bob Weinstein took the description as a badge of honor and quickly snatched the rights to the script and greenlit the project for Miramax and Dimension. By January 2002, Variety reported that director Terry Zwigoff was tapped to helm Bad Santa, likely based on his terrific 2001 deadpan comedy, Ghost World. Zwigoff was most instrumental in the casting of Marcus and Thurman especially, stating that despite productorial pushback, maybe there are other actors who could do a great job with these parts, but Tony and Brett are just funny. They are these characters. Bestowed with an estimated $23 million budget, Bad Santa began filming on July 8, 2002, with principal photography wrapping in September. Although the opening alley scene was shot in Montreal, Canada, the 2-month film shoot was primarily filmed throughout the greater Los Angeles area. For instance, the early sequence that takes place in Miami Beach, Florida, was filmed across the country in Long Beach, California. Meanwhile, the fictitious Saguaro Square Mall that is featured prominently in the film was shot at Del Amo Fashion Center in Torrance, the same mall used by Quentin Tarantino in Jackie Brown. The parking lot of the mall is also featured in both films, a location notorious for Robert De Niro gunning down Bridget Fonda in Jackie Brown. As mentioned, De Niro almost played Bad Santa, potentially marking a return to the infamous Luis Gara crime scene. Similar to the Saguaro Square Mall itself, the Chamberlain's department store that takes center stage in the film is also fictional. The space used for Chamberlain's was an abandoned Montgomery Ward department store that had been vacant at the time of filming in 2002. The store no longer exists, as the wing of the mall housing the Montgomery Ward was demolished in 2006. Speaking of the mall scenes, one of the most amusing anecdotes from the making of the movie involves Billy Bob Thornton's intoxicated performance. According to Thornton, he was genuinely inebriated while filming various scenes for the film. In particular, Thornton admitted that following the scene in which he collapses on an escalator, he legitimately passed out in real life. To get into character, Thornton claims he pounded 3 glasses of red wine for breakfast, which he promptly chased with a few Bud Lights and a couple of vodka cranberries. As you might imagine, Thornton had such a ball making Bad Santa that he admitted in his autobiography, The Billy Bob Tapes, that making Bad Santa ranks among 3 instances in his entire life that he'd happily return to if he had a chance to go back in time. Oddly enough, the other instances included making The Alamo and the time as a highway road worker in Arkansas before his acting career began. Now, despite all the rude and crude jokes attributed to the Coen brothers, Zwigoff, and writers Ficarra and Rica, it's worth noting that certain dialogue was improved on the spot by the actors. For example, Marcus's classic deadpan line,
"You probably shouldn't be digging in your ass,"
while Willie drunkenly entertains children in the mall, was an ad-libbed by Cox. Zwigoff found the line so hysterical that he couldn't help but bust up laughing repeatedly on set while filming the scene. Zwigoff even admitted to waking up in the middle of the night at times in a fit of laughter because the line was so damn funny. Now, Bad Santa wouldn't be considered the definitive adult Christmas comedy unless it set a world record for the highest number of profanities uttered in a Christmas film. And in the theatrical version of this film, the F word is dropped 159 times, while the S word is heard 73 times. These numbers are increased in the unrated version of Bad Santa, which hikes the number of F-bombs to 170 and the S word to 74. Meanwhile, ass is used 31 times and the word bitch is spoken 10 times. Indeed, Bad Santa is the foul-mouthed gift that keeps on giving. One of the most interesting and lesser-known tidbits about Bad Santa relates to the initial test screening and subsequent reshoots mandated by Dimension and Miramax. After Zwigoff turned his final cut in, the powers that be deemed the film so nasty, so vulgar, and so irredeemable that the producers refused to release it in theaters. Jeremy Smith of Slash Film was present at the 2003 test screening of Zwigoff's cut and maintains that it's a much better version than what was ultimately released in theaters. Here's how it all went down. Following a quote, disastrous screening of Zwigoff's original cut in Pasadena, Bob Weinstein hit the panic button and instantly called for reshoots. According to Bruce Fetz at the New York Times oral history of the debacle, Weinstein told Zwigoff, quote, "I said to Terry, we're not trying to ruin your movie, but there's absolutely no heart in it. So we put in a little heart. We didn't make it vanilla. We weren't trying to make a not-so-good Santa." Unwilling to compromise his vision, Zwigoff stuck to his guns and flat out refused to participate in any reshoots. He felt his version played well, and the howling laughter of the audience during that so-called ill-fated test screening proved as much. So, as such, Weinstein promptly hired Todd Phillips to helm the reshoots, who was on the verge of his own directorial stardom with the release of Old School a few months earlier in 2003. Phillips agreed, and most of his reshot sequences are now part of the theatrical cut. The scenes Phillips directed during the reshoots include Willie ransacking a poolside bar, Willie and Marcus giving Thurman a nard punching training exercise, and Sarah Silverman giving a mall Santa tutorial. While the Silverman scene was deleted from the theatrical release, the other scenes were included as a means of making Willie more likable and redeemable at the end of the film. Zwigoff's original cut has never been seen again after that 2003 test screening, which is perhaps why Zwigoff only made one more movie since, 2006's Art School Confidential, and he's largely left Hollywood since then. Although there's no denying what a rowdy and rambunctious crowd pleaser the theatrical release of Bad Santa proved to be, it's hard not to wonder what it would have been like if Zwigoff's original vision wasn't compromised. With Phillips' reshoots inserted into the film, Bad Santa ultimately slid into theaters on November 26th, 2003. In the Czech Republic, the movie was hilariously released under the title Santa is a Pervert. Even so, the film became an instant commercial and critical hit, earning $76 million globally against a $23 million budget. The film currently boasts a 70 Metascore and 78% Rotten Tomatoes score. As such, the movie endured long enough to spawn a sequel 13 years later in Bad Santa 2, which, although it has a fair share of defenders and detractors, featured many returning characters like Willie, Marcus, and Thurman. Speaking of Thurman, actor Brett Kelly has stated that he still gets recognized for the role he originated 20 years ago, especially when he grows out his curly hair. Fans often approach him and utter lines from the film, such as,
"Let me fix you some sandwiches."
Should I fix you some sandwiches? Should I fix you some sandwiches?
"Let me fix you some sandwiches."
a refrain uttered by his spry granny in the film. And for all the bullying Thurman endures in the film, Kelly admitted that in real life during a retrospect of the movie, that Thornton and Zwigoff were extremely protective of the child actor while making the movie, hinting that the brutal subject matter made them go out of their way to ensure that Kelly was not bullied but taken care of on set. Aw, sticking with the retrospective thing, we'd be remiss not to mention the late great John Ritter, who plays Bob Chapesca with hysterical results in Bad Santa. Ritter and Thornton were close friends in real life after meeting and starring together in the 90s sitcom Hearts Afire. Thornton also cast Ritter in his directorial debut Sling Blade, in which both actors give all-time great performances. During a HuffPo interview for Bad Santa 2, Thornton paid a touching tribute to Ritter and fellow Bad Santa co-star Bernie Mac, both of whom passed away before the making of Bad Santa 2. According to Thornton, The thing that people don't talk a lot about is the fact that there are two dear souls that are not with us. John was one of my best friends. We miss them. But even if they had still been here, once again, you would have to make up some stupid thing for them to be in the movie anyway. But we all kind of did it with that in mind, that this is kind of dedicated to those two guys. Bad Santa was dedicated to John Ritter, who passed away 2 months before the film was released. Bad Santa 2 was dedicated to Ritter and Bernie Mac. Not for nothing, but one of the best parts about Bad Santa, with its jaunty 92-minute runtime, is that it never overstays its welcome. We'll do the same and let you get back to your family holiday festivities by stopping right here and declaring that that is what the fuck happened to Bad Santa. The idea was born from Joel and Ethan Coen, who hand-picked Glenn Ficarra and John Rica to write the screenplay. After revising the script and adding a bunch of outrageous jokes, Terry Zwigoff did his best to honor the transgressive spirit of the alcoholic, thieving Santa Claus. Alas, after a poor test screening, the studio ordered reshoots that Zwigoff was firmly against and refused to direct. This gave way to Todd Phillips' uncredited contributions to the film, which made Bad Santa a bit more sympathetic by the end of the movie. Meanwhile, in one of his greatest screen performances, Billy Bob Thornton went full method actor and genuinely performed certain scenes while incredibly intoxicated. Despite the ups and downs that went into the making of this movie, it's hard to argue against the lasting results. As the film celebrates its 20th anniversary this year, Bad Santa remains among the absolute Christmas movies for adults to revel in. Now stuff that in your motherfucking chimney. Happy holidays, folks.
They're supposed to let me out of this hospital room soon, so get some sandwiches ready.